It's a sentimental senior day for Kent State. One more flash of home field football here in Ohio in Tuesday night action as the Golden Flashes of Kent State host the Chippewas of Central Michigan. Welcome to a chilly night here in Kent, Ohio at Dick Stadium. A midweek MAC matchup as the Central Michigan Chippewas at 6-4 take on the Kent State Golden Flashes at 2-8. Mike Cousins, Ray Bentley, glad to have you here with us. Central Michigan head coach John Bonamigo, when he took this job 3 years ago, he left the NFL where he spent more than a decade, but it was exactly for meaningful midweek nights like this.
I know we have a good football team, and I know their heart, and I just challenge them to dig deeper and just to give a little bit more and not to give up, and that's what they did. This is for everybody that's ever worn the maroon and gold. Just a great day to be a Chippewa. Fire up.
There's still a window for the Chips to win the MAC West. It would take them winning out and some luck ahead of them. Toledo right now in the driver's seat at 5-1. Also owns the tiebreaker over Northern Illinois. A couple of great running backs tonight, and with CMU on their winning streak, Jonathan Ward has led the way.
Yeah, he really has, Mike. He's taken over the last two ball games, and you can make a case that he willed the Chippewas to victory with his play. He's explosive, strong, can break tackles, got great vision, breakaway speed. They'll move him around and find ways to get him the football. He's also been an excellent receiver for the Chips. Now there's another good running back on the other side for Kent State, Justin Rankin. He does it all. As you see, the only player in the MAC to lead his team in receptions and rush yards, and he does it all for this group. They'll move him around just like Central Michigan will with Ward. And it's incumbent upon the Chippewa defense to recognize where Rankin is, or he'll give him a tough time tonight.
All right, Ray, Kent State has won the toss. They defer, so they're set to kick it away. Shane Hines handles the kickoffs for Kent State.
Yeah, Hines 57. He chose that number himself.
Like a guy who's not afraid to poke a little fun at himself. And here comes CMU. They'll have it first down and 10 at the 25-yard line with an offense led by Shane Morris, the graduate transfer from the University of Michigan.
And Morris is kind of an up and down guy. As I watch him and break him down, he can be hot, red hot. I mean, throw perfect balls, and then he'll get ice cold. They've got to find him on the hot side tonight if they want to keep this winning streak going.
6'3", 210, a native of Hazel Park, Michigan, and starts out in the shotgun on a night where it would be helpful to have gloves. Perhaps a few layers on top of that. The southpaw throwing on first down. And off toward the sideline.
That's a great throw, back shoulder.
Tyler Conklin, the tight end.
To the tight end, Conklin. Now, he's a tight end, but he lined up as a Z receiver in that play. They'll move Conklin to the X receiver. He'll play a traditional tight end like he's lining up for this play. But they find ways to get the ball to Tyler Conklin. I think he's a guy that could play on Sundays.
17 yards for him on first down. And now Jonathan Ward gets his first carry of the day. Tripped up out across the 40-yard line. Gets about one there for the sophomore from Kankakee, Illinois.
That was a really nice play by Miles Daniel, the corner, because Conklin blocked him, and he stumbled, but he still was able to get his hand up there and flip the ankle of Ward to make the tackle.
So three receivers set here on second down. And it's Ward once again, coming off a week last week in that win over Eastern Michigan, where he had 19 carries, 159 yards, and a couple of scores.
Yeah, he's been red hot since the Chippewas. They lost their homecoming game to Toledo in a downpour where they only rushed for 62 yards. Coach Bonamigo said, hey, we got to run the football, especially up north where we're at with this kind of weather. And that change of emphasis has led them to a really good running attack. 386 yards for Ward in the past 3 games.
To the air on 3rd and 5, and the pass incomplete, intended for Ward. So the Chippewas bring up 4th down and 5.
Elvis Hines had the coverage. He'll be following Ward around tonight. He plays that Apache position. But really, that was just a bad throw from Morris. A little bit off target, and that's the kind of the hot cold I talk about when I watch him play. Because when he's good, oh man, is he really good. He can drop the ball in anywhere. And when he's bad, you get results like you just saw in that last play.
Here's Jack Sheldon to punt with Cavius Price back deep. And he lets it take a bounce at the 10-yard line. Turns it upfield and gains the 20, which is the starting field position for Kent State. 2-8, just 1-5 in conference play. All 5 of their conference losses have come by 14 points or more, and it's been a tenuous quarterback situation for them this year. And they've turned their attention now to George Bolus, the redshirt junior.
Yeah, and Bolus, he started the season as a 3rd-string guy, and the first 2 in front of him got injured, and bam, he's in the mix. Now, he is a very effective runner and a streaky passer. But the biggest issue with them is the throwing game and protecting him. They have an issue giving up, 34 sacks already this year.
So here's Bolus on the move on 1st down, escapes the ankle tackle, thinks about throwing it, spins his way past the 25, and dives headlong just shy of the 30-yard line. So able to create a little bit there on a play that broke down.
Yeah, and that's when he's at his best, in my opinion, is when it breaks down, because he can make plays like that, and he's an instinctive runner. He's not going to run away from anybody, but he can juke you a little bit.
He got 9 yards there on the ground on 1st down.
See this pistol formation. This is something that has become a huge part of the Kent offense. Before their starting quarterback Nick Holly got hurt, this was an option offense.
Needing just 1 yard for the 1st down, they go to Rankin for his first carry of the day, and that takes us to tonight's What to Watch For, brought to you by Taco Bell.
That's the guy to watch for, especially if you're on defense for Central Michigan, because Rankin will line up all over the place. He's in the slot now. They love to motion him back inside and then run the ball to him.
They talk about him as a jack of all trades in this offense, being able to put him anywhere on the field to make the most of his ability.
He's on the bottom of the screen in the slot right now, and here comes that motion I talked about.
They used him to go back across the formation. Bolus kept it, and no gain on the play on the 1st down run. Mitch Stanizak, the defensive end, one of the first in there.
Stanizak did a great job. He had to just kind of play it slow, stay on the line of scrimmage, key the quarterback, not run anywhere in a hurry, and he played it perfectly and was able to make that tackle.
And an important addition to the defensive line at the bottom of the defensive line on your screen is number 45, Joe Ostman, returning for the first time in the last 3 games. Pass complete out near the 40-yard line for the Golden Flashes to Mike Kerrigan, the sophomore from Tallahassee, his 10th catch of the year.
And you mentioned Joe Ostman, and he has 10 sacks, and he's missed the last 2. He had a concussion protocol deal and then a stinger in his shoulder, and they weren't sure if he was going to be able to go tonight. But he will present huge problems for this Kent offensive line.
Top 5 in the country in terms of sacks, and that's, as you said, having missed a couple of games as well.
Yeah, in just 8 games, 10 sacks.
3rd down, a breakdown in the pocket. Bolus goes headlong to the 45-yard line, and that's enough for a 1st down.
It was Ostman that chases him down and flips his heel to get him down. And Bolus had to take off, and that's something you see about a third of the time the Golden Flashes drop back to pass. You're going to see a scramble because they don't get guys open, and the offensive line is a little bit suspect. And those have been good plays for him. As you saw right there, Bolus, he's got a knack for it. He picks up the 1st down on a scramble.
Against 3 down linemen, a 4-man rush, a one-on-one toss to the sideline. Trey Harrell
caught it out of bounds, though. And that's great body position from Amari Coleman. And Coleman's a pretty good ball player, too. Had a pick 6 at the end of the game against Eastern last week to ice it away. got a little grabby, but you see there's no part of the body that touches inbounds. Pretty simple, incomplete pass.
Ray, as you mentioned, about a third of the time on dropbacks where Bolus ends up getting flushed out of the pocket, where would you like that number to be?
0. But you got to be under 10%. I mean, that's...
He gets rid of it, and that's a big play rumbling down the sideline for Kent State as Bolus that time didn't have to scramble and gets rid of it to Chalfonte Butler.
And Butler is seldom thrown to. He comes out of the backfield and is totally ignored by the Chippewa defense, and he gets a block down the field, and somebody blew their responsibility in coverage on Butler. It's only the 4th catch all year for Butler. I can see why they really weren't too concerned prior to that play. But they better get on it now.
Sophomore out of Cincinnati. That's just 8 catches for the tight end group as a whole this year for Kent. Rankin trying to slice his way through the line and is down inside the 20.
Ran right into Alex Briones, the junior linebacker.
Paul Haynes in year number 5, the 48-year-old native of Columbus, Ohio. Said in a year like this, where you've got just 2 wins so far through 10 games, you got to try and change things up. So they went to night practices this week, trying to find creative ways to break through what can be at times the monotony of a difficult season.
No doubt. But he says the great thing about this group of kids, there's no head hanging or anything. They work hard.
They go on the reverse. First it was Rankin, and now to the outside, it's Kerrigan.
Good discipline by the Central Michigan defense of staying home. In particular, Darwin Kelly, the safety. He's going to see it and then react to it and come up from the back of the field to make the hit. Kent loves to run those type of plays in this area of the field. They will try to trick you to get their points.
Netted them 8 yards.
Also seen some wildcat down in this area of the field, but Bolus is going to take it this time.
From the pistol on the give. And it's a couple-yard pickup for Rankin, the sophomore from Oberlin, Ohio. It's a guy who's got great speed when he can get into the open field. Ran in the state finals of the 200-meter dash as a high school senior.
Yeah, he's got a little get up and go. He's also very shifty side to side. As you see the Central Michigan defense numbers there, they've been very good in the red zone, in particular taking the ball away. But they lead the country, or tied for the lead in the country, with 27 takeaways this season. That's kind of the thing they do.
It's them, Washington, and Wyoming as the nation's leaders among FBS teams. Bolus design rollout, throws back of the end zone, and the ball is tipped and incomplete on the throw.
Great coverage by Josh Cox coming over the top. He had Kerrigan and just knocked the ball away at the end. A late throw from Bolus. When you're down in this area, I think you're better off getting the ball out quickly to try to make a play.
So it brings up 3rd down and 6 as they try and make this drive a successful one.
Doing the check with me, examining the defense, and then changing the play. Central's manned up on defense.
Showing some pressure off the edge, and they bring it. Bolus wants to test the middle, and he's gobbled up. Joe Ostman, who started out on the edge, comes inside to bring down the quarterback on the run, short of the sticks, and it's 4th down.
Nice drive here by Kent State. They need to convert on this field goal to get points out of it, but they moved the ball efficiently down the field. Stalled again in the red zone, which has been a little bit of an issue.
Scoring there just 67% of the time this year, 127th in the country. Puts them as a bottom 3 squad.
Yeah, that is a little bit of an issue, I think.
So it's Hines for the field goal, and his kick is up and good. So for a team that averages under 12 points a game this season, second to last in the country, they've got a 3-0 lead, something to be happy about.
They're right on pace.
An early 3-0 lead for Kent State here in its final home game of the 2017 season over Central Michigan, a team that's riding a 3-game winning streak coming into play here today. And the Chips did not score on their opening drive. So they'll get the ball back here for the second time this evening. With 6:44 left in the first quarter, Mike Cousins, along with former Central Michigan linebacker Ray Bentley. Glad to have you here with us.
Both of these teams have a better start than last week, as each of them gave up defensive touchdowns in their first drives.
Short kick and a returnable one from inside the 5-yard line. Some open space out across the 40, now to your midfield. It's Davis, and he's inside the 20, and he is gone for the kickoff return touchdown.
He just kept going, and Kent couldn't get to him. Initially, he had a huge hole. There was a nice gap. My question was, could he get there before it closed? And he did. And he had a nice little cut back around midfield, and boom, he was off to the races.
98 yards on the return, taking the cavalcade up the sideline to get the Chippewas on the board.
And you know that warms the cockles of John Bonamigo's heart, because he's a former special teams coach in the NFL for a long time, and so he knows a thing or two about how to get kicks returned, and that one's to the house.
Michael Armstrong, the graduate transfer from SMU. He's not gotten a lot of action lately as far as field goal kicking, but extra points certainly so, and he tacks this one on to make it 7-3. Special teams coming through for the Chippewas on a chilly night. The offense didn't get the job done, but 98 yards looks pretty good for a 7-3 lead.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Esurance, auto and home insurance for the modern world. And Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
Senior day for the Golden Flashes here today, something that's very important to head coach Paul Haynes. As we spoke to him yesterday at his office, said, look, you know what, a 2-win season at this point, there's not bowl eligibility in sight for us. We want to make sure that if we're going to go out on a good note, we do it for these guys who are in their final home games.
Yeah, and that kind of answered the question, what do you have to play for at 2-8? Your buddy, your pal, those seniors, the program, there's plenty, always plenty to play for. They had 15 seniors they're saying goodbye to tonight.
After a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, Caden Keon puts this one in the air, and Kent State looking for an explosive answer in its own right as the return comes out to near the 40-yard line for Harrell. Well, fresh off a big win over Notre Dame on Saturday, undefeated Miami is home again at Hard Rock Stadium. This time they've got Virginia, with the Canes having their sights set on the college football playoff. Winners of 14 straight now. Saturday, noon Eastern on ABC, also streaming live on the ESPN app.
And they got a nice chain down there that they are taking the football away. And you know, I heard that Manny Diaz, their defensive coordinator, went out and spent a lot of money on that. That's not just gold-plated. That's the real deal.
That's got to be a reimbursable expense, right?
I would imagine.
Rankin takes the carry on first down and gets one, as this drive follows up a 13-play, 6.5-minute drive for Kent State, which ended with a field goal.
Very nice drive, and they found they had a 32-yard hookup to the tight end Butler, which was really the big play out of it, but also Bolus with a couple of scrambles, converting those into first downs.
He showed himself to be a little bit slippery there.
Yes,
on that first drive. Three-receiver look as the pocket evaporates, and he takes off, tumbling out near midfield and right near the first down marker. So the quarterback from Aurora, just 12 miles from here on campus, getting the job done and a first down.
Yeah, and another scramble situation. And Central Michigan talked about how to stop that, and they will spy on occasion, but usually just on expected passing downs. And so in that case, they didn't have anybody.
Great athletic lineage in his family with his dad, George, and grandfather. Athletes at Ohio State. Stretching this play out to the perimeter. And nowhere to go that time for Rankin.
Alex Briones, the outside linebacker, leveraged this thing, did not let them get the edge. And on the cutback, that's when the running back Rankin just falls down.
They lost 3 yards on the play. And now it's 2nd and 13.
This might be a down where I would dial up some spy for a scrambling quarterback. I think it would be a pass here. Or not.
Instead, it is a run to Rankin, but it yields almost nothing as he's quickly brought down by Mike Dana, the defensive end. Him and Ostman make a pretty formidable 1-2 combination on the perimeter.
They do, and then you have Malik Fountain, the inside linebacker, who came up, and I tell you, this guy takes on blockers old school style. Got great knee bend, loads up, and then explodes like a trebuchet.
He's been their leading tackler last year and this year coming into this game. Bolus on the move, throws too high toward his own sideline.
Yeah, that's
trebuchet.
Throwaway, yeah.
Is that the first time you think that word's been uttered in a football broadcast this year?
I may have used it back in '98, but I think I'm probably the only one.
98. Were you engaging in Renaissance era recreations at that point?
I read a book, and it was in the book, and I thought it was a cool word, trebuchet. But, dude, when he loads up and it explodes, it gives you that mental picture. I hope we get a good look at Malik Fountain doing that at some point tonight.
Mark Chapman back to receive the punt from Derek Adams. He's gotten some nice kicks this year. About a quarter of his punts have gone for longer than 50 yards. And this was taken inside the 15. Central Michigan will see if they can get their offense going with 3:34 left in the first. Who said Tuesday wasn't a great night for sports? You got so much going on the ESPN networks right now. A couple of MAC games, great college basketball in Chicago. You can stream every ESPN and ABC college football game live at home or on the go with the ESPN app. You can download it now and start streaming. 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line here for Central Michigan. And that ball is thrown behind Corey Willis by Shane Morris. 2nd and 10.
Excuse me, I think it got tipped. It looked like Manny Lawrence Burke got his hand on that thing, and that's how a lot of people are trying to stop those RPOs now. They put a guy in that throwing window close enough to the box where he can help out with the run, but also get in that throwing lane, and it worked perfectly right there.
Well, Morris at a hair under 56% completion-wise this season, which has been the busiest starting and passing-wise of his college career after starting originally at the University of Michigan. And here he lowers the shoulder, approaching the 20-yard line. Looking a little bit like George Bolus there on 2nd down.
Yeah, they ran a tackle trap. They brought number 78, Clayton Walderzak, around to get the block up the middle, and they cut Shane Morris loose with their legs. And he can be effective. They don't do a lot of that, but when they do, they usually are successful.
He's 3rd in the MAC in total offense, with no surprise being that Logan Woodside is number 1, the quarterback at Toledo. Straight run all the way for Jonathan Ward.
He did not get there. Chippewas looks like they're going to be forced to punt the football away again.
So that's 2 drives here, Ray, where the offense has not been able to sustain a drive. Again, their only touchdown so far on a 98-yard kick return by Gerard Davis.
And this Kent defense has played fairly well. Their problem is all of a sudden they'll give up a home run. We talked to Ben Needham, their defensive coordinator, last week against Western. They had 56 good snaps and then 4 that went out the back end for touchdowns.
Price retreats on the punt and takes it inside the 30-yard line, slicing it back across the field. There's multiple flags thrown as he goes down to the 38-yard line.
Yeah, Yeah, pretty obvious clip on the guy closing in on the returner. And you're going to have a lot of eyes on you when you do that.
You got a triangle of flags from both sidelines and from the trailing official on the play.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 1, return team. 10-yard foul, first down, Kent State.
Well, as you talked about the defense for Paul Haynes' squad, that's what John Bonamigo was worried about. He says, look, records can go out the window in this game as far as I'm concerned.
Well, they did last year. Central was 5-4, and I believe Kent was 2-7 at the time. Kent came up to Mount Pleasant and knocked the Chippewas off 27-24 on a last-second field goal. So they're once bitten. Let's see if they're twice shy.
50-yard punt plus the 10-yard penalty makes it a boot of 60 total yards. So a nice job of flipping the field there. And it's on the ground here on first down with Keshawn Gamble, the freshman out of Cincinnati, who's been a dual-purpose player this year, spending some time at linebacker and at running back when they want to spell Rankin.
And Gamble's a big kid. I mean, they list him at 249 pounds, and he will bring a load when he does get the ball. Not a whole lot of shake and bake in his game. He'll run right straight at you.
11 yards on the pickup for the freshman. Bolus fakes like he's ducking underneath, throws up top, and the pass is incomplete. A hard hit delivered on Connor Brumfield, the tight end, connecting with Darwin Kelly, the grad transfer from Illinois.
Kelly had that thing set up. I think he probably could have gone for the football, but it was just a little late, so he's going to come in and decide to feed somebody lunch instead.
And you got to give him credit. That's a very clean hit in the area where a lot of calls like that end up as targeting.
Yeah, and I've seen it. It's a conscious effort. Guys are cleaning that up, and that's a good thing to see.
Bolus toss for Rankin. Quickly undercut on the perimeter by Alex Briones, the outside linebacker.
Yeah, they've tried to run that option a couple of times, and Briones has single-handedly stopped it each time with making the tackle.
Brumfield shaking off that hit on the sidelines. Taking the seat after the hard hit from Kelly.
And this is where the Kent offense gets itself in trouble. When they don't get ahead of the chains, now they're looking at 3rd and 11. Everyone knows they got to throw the football, and that puts extra pressure on Bolus.
They've not been a great downfield passing team this year. Bolus has nobody open, and he gets taken down.
Nate Brissenfast with the sack, but it was Ostman who really forced him out of there. There's a flag on the play, I believe.
Holding, number 8, defense. 10 yards from the previous spot. Replay 3rd down.
They called it on the middle linebacker, Malik Fountain. Take a look, see if we can see where he's at. Right in the middle of the field. There on the right side of that. You see him grab by the waist, the receiver. So that's a good call, no question about it. That's what linebackers have to do when they get a faster guy on you and he starts running fast. Grab him.
I hope nobody notices.
Right. Reverse.
So with 1 yard to gain, electing for the reverse here, and it does not pay off. They go backwards by 3 yards, giving the ball to Kerrigan. And it's Darwin Kelly to make the tackle again. That's a tough call there when you had to get just 1 yard forward.
Yeah, I can't make any sense of it myself. I don't think that might be the first time we've had Trebuchet tonight and a 3rd and 1 reverse. This is a groundbreaking evening here.
It's Tuesday night. You never know what might happen. Well, 7-3 is our score at the end of 1. Last year it was a victory for Kent State. Central Michigan, Kent State. These coaches say you just don't know what might happen. 4th down coming up for the Golden Flashes when we come back to Dick Stadium. Start of the second quarter at Dick Stadium, and the score not necessarily reflective of how many plays each team ran in those first 15 minutes.
Not at all. But those things have a tendency to balance out over the 4 quarters. We'll see.
Mark Chapman lets that punt go right at the 20-yard line for the Chippewas. So a couple offensive possessions. They've not yet been able to get things going with Shane Morris, transfer from Michigan. Some other notable grad transfers as he is, of course, Russell Wilson, a name you know now well in the NFL, and guys playing this year, Bryant Sheriffs as well at UConn, and Thomas Sirk going from Duke to ECU.
They have Poljan at quarterback now. Shane Morris is split out to the right.
Handoff for Chapman on first down. So Tony Poljan, the redshirt freshman out of Lansing, Michigan, a big guy, 6'7", 237, but he comes from a big family.
Yeah, his dad, Rick, actually played with the Chippewas back in my day, and Rick was about that size, but he did a smart thing. He gave his son a football and let him get some ball skills.
Conklin, the tight end, bowling his way past the 50-yard line. Look out when he gets rolling at 6'4", 240. That's a load to take down.
He's such a good player. I mean, it amazed me. He originally went to Northwood, a Division II school, as a basketball player, and then decided he wanted to play football. And the transformation that he has made over the last few years is nothing short of amazing.
Northwood in Midland, Michigan, about 30 minutes from Central. When there's not a lot of guys who can decide to make that change, going from Division II basketball and say, I want to not only play at the FBS level in college football, but then be a good player, and then on top of that, be an NFL prospect.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at him from his days back at Northwood, and it's been quite a transformation. You know, and when he was a youngster, he went up to several games in Mount Pleasant, football games, obviously, and he told himself, I never want to do that. I want to play basketball. I want to play basketball. He said he found it ironic that here he is now in his senior year playing some football.
Missed the first 5 weeks of the season with a broken bone in his left foot. Suffered in the preseason, the type of injury that could have lasted 6 months, and he came back in remarkably quick fashion. Morris with a nice dart inside the 20-yard line, puts it on the spot.
That's golden shoes, Poljan. And they found ways to get Tony Poljan involved. I mean, they got him out at wide receiver, and they just say, go. And they throw a back shoulder ball to him, and with that big body, he muscles it up.
He's got it for 30 yards.
He actually led the team in receiving when they played Boston College earlier this year with 3 catches and 65 yards.
Very quick motion along the defensive line with Jordan Robinson coming around the corner first.
Ball start. Number 55, defense. Unabated. 5 yards, first down.
And the penalty is on Robinson. So talking about Poljan, though, here's a guy you wonder why the backup quarterback is getting so much action. That's mandated by John Bonamigo, the head coach.
Yeah, you know, last year I did a game with him, and he couldn't talk highly enough about his freshman quarterback at the time taking a redshirt year. And he said that it was very close between he and Morris in the competition for quarterback. But because he wants Poljan to have, it's incomplete over there, he wants Poljan to have some experience when he comes in the spring ball, and he's very excited about that prospect, and he did mandate that they have to get him in every game. Conklin made that catch, but the left foot touched out of bounds first. So that's pretty easy to discern on that look.
Great hands there, covered by Foster, and certainly a size mismatch with the corner at 6 foot and they got Conklin at 6'4".
And they got him down there again in that X position, bottom of the screen.
They give it off for Ward, who's inside the 10, inside the 5, and he is in. Standing up, Jonathan Ward with his 8th rushing touchdown of the year extends the Chips lead on a run from 17.
And he had it on cruise. He was just kind of wending his way through the bodies, and there were great blocks around, including the last block that sprung him into the end zone by Tyler Conklin, the tight end. That's when Ward gets that cruiser look on him, look out, because he'll go the distance.
Well, now over his last 3+ games, he's got 6 touchdowns, not to mention averaging almost 8 yards a touch on the ground.
Central Michigan discovered something there, and he's getting a lot of touches now.
Some versatility offensively, quarterback to quarterback through the air. Conklin helping, and Ward with the capper from 17. Quickly down the field, Central Michigan extending its advantage over Kent State, 14-3. Just a couple minutes gone here in quarter number 2 from Dick Stadium in Kent, Ohio. Second to last game of the regular season for both of these teams. Central Michigan still has a shot at winning the West Division of the MAC. They're at 4-2. Toledo and Northern Illinois ahead of them at 5-1. So they need a win today and a win in Thanksgiving week, plus some good fortune ahead of them in the form of losses from the division leaders.
And they need Western to win the next 2. So if they end up tied with Western at the top, they have that tiebreaker. I think you summed it up when said the chances are pretty slim.
Slim, but still there, just to a small extent.
Yeah, slim, and none hasn't left town yet. So. And we asked Coach Bonamino about that. How do you address that with your team? And he said, beat Kent. That's all we talk about. The next opponent. What are we going to do? How do we take care of that business? We'll worry about the rest of it at the end.
Personal foul. Legal block below the waist. Number 93 of the return team. 15 yards from the end of the run. First down, Kent State.
That on Matt Bell.
That sets them back. We look ahead to Saturday night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC as USC hosts UCLA at the Coliseum, with the Trojans already in possession of the Pac-12 South title. It's going to be Rosen and Darnold. Mel Kiper's big board. There's 2 of your top 5 draft choices. Second special teams penalty of the night for Kent State. Bolus on the move, out across the 30-yard line, cuts it up, and across the 35, all the way to the 40-yard line there. So a nice run for Bolus, the redshirt junior, taking off and showing the wheels.
And this is a zone read keep, and you'll see nobody from Central Michigan gets quarterback. And it looks to me like it was on Carlos Clark, the linebacker, number 43, as he's the one who was desperately chasing.
Well said. After a run of 26. But Bolus, who began the season as the number 3 option at quarterback, no choice but to lead the charge here. Fakes the give to Rankin and throws to a cutting Harrell, who's got the ball. Pickup of about 15 yards, and another flashes first down.
Yeah, I love the play call. Run a little play action on first down. And then you got Harrell coming from the backside, drop it in on him. And Bolus throws better on the run than he does in the pocket. And he dropped that one right on him.
Now, he has not been the primary option at quarterback in any of the last 3 years, but he's had to come in, be the starter, and be the guy to lead the charge for this team. Good penetration, but Gamble navigates his way for a few yards out to the 40-yard line and gains 4 there on the run.
And we talked to Paul Haynes about the use of George Bolus, but the biggest issue, he said, is all the practice reps that they worked on with their other quarterbacks, and all the time in camp the first 3 weeks. It was an entirely different offense, and he just rused the fact that they had so many wasted reps that things that they practice with those guys, now they don't do on the field, and that takes away from your continuity and the growth and maturity of your program.
Maybe the best analogy for it was like you stayed up all night writing a term paper, and then all of a sudden the computer just deletes it, and you got nothing.
That's a good excuse, though. I've used that one.
That pass incomplete on second down. You can't tell me you were in college using computers to write a term paper.
No, I was writing them for my kids, I think. That's what it is.
It's Trey Harrell, the leading wide receiver for this team.
Harrell was the intended receiver, I thought, on that one, and Amari Coleman did a great job of knocking it away. And then afterwards, you see the collision, and that was Chris Cantavalos, who's wearing number 21 today. That's in the honor of Derek Nash, who passed in 2014 from leukemia. In each game, in the last, this is now 3 years running, somebody gets the honor of wearing number 21, and it really means a lot to these guys. A lot of them know Nash and played with him, and they're trying to carry that memory on.
Former defensive back Derek Nash for Central Michigan. So Harrell getting checked out. And you look at the numbers for this wide receiving core. Harrell, so they're going to take a look for targeting, it appears, as well, after that connection with Cantavalos. But Harrell comes into this game 15 catches. The team's leading receiver is Justin Rankin, who's also the lead rusher. And it kind of gives you a picture of the difficulty they've had moving the ball through the air this year. Just 107 yards a game, 125th in the country.
And it all goes back to that quarterback situation.
Yep, when you're down to your third string quarterback, that comes after Nick Holley, the starter, was lost after game 3.
Gosh, would you consider that targeting? That's a tough call from that angle. I didn't see a launch. He stopped and then gathered, but it wasn't a launch.
Under further review for potential targeting of number 21 of the defense. We'll review the play.
So go to the replay official, Rick Jackson, here tonight at Dick Stadium.
Yeah, the forcible blow above the neck on a defensive, above the shoulders on a defensive player is what you're going to, that's targeting. He didn't launch, and didn't appear to use the crown of the helmet, but it was forcible contact above the neck and shoulders. I think they're going to have to call that one targeting, which is unfortunate.
Especially with the contact being to the head of Harrell, because a lot of times you might see a hit where a helmet makes contact at the shoulder or the junction of the shoulder pads and the helmet, but this was...
I don't know. Looking at it again, it seemed like Harrell had his arm up, and so he hit him on the kind of the arm, shoulder. I don't know if it's a tough call. I wouldn't want to decide this one, and me being an old linebacker, I would say no targeting, just because I'm a little biased that way towards the defense.
And I think what you got to look at there is toward the bottom, the forcible contact to the head or neck, and in that case, Harrell trying to catch the pass, certainly defenseless.
It was determined that there is no targeting.
Good.
Number 21 of the defense is allowed to stay in the game.
No, I think they made the right decision. I don't want anyone getting hurt out there, and I don't want any cheap shots, but I thought that was pretty much just football.
So the officials agree with you. It's 3rd down and 6 for Kent State. Polis working his way deeper and deeper back behind midfield and just ends up throwing it away. He was almost to the 40-yard line when he got rid of that ball. The line of scrimmage being the 40-yard line on the other side of the field.
The receiver was in the area. 4th down.
Yeah, he did a little flip turn, but didn't gain any ground. So he just basically did a little pirouette in the pocket and still had to run out of there. And there was nowhere to go with the football. The one receiver they sent deep was well covered and nowhere to drop it, and then the pressure got to him.
The offense for the Flashes has stagnated. They converted their first 3rd down, but they are 0 for 4 since. Fair catch called for inside the 11-yard line for CMU. 29-yard punt. Chips with the ball and the lead on the road.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Sonic's Car Hop Classic. Pair a foot-long coney or a cheeseburger with onion rings for $2.99.
The 0-1 Jaguars, John Bonamigo, Paul Haynes, two guys who were assistants on that team and now rival head coaches here in the Mid-American Conference. Well, they did well for themselves becoming head coaches, but also finding the loves of their respective lives during their time in Jacksonville. How about this? A big-time run to start the drive.
And I mentioned it before, they don't run Morris a ton, but when they do, it's usually successful. And this time, Kent State's defense returned the favor as they forgot to cover the quarterback. Well, they had someone on him, but he couldn't make the tackle in Lawrence Burke.
Morris for 35 yards on that run. And now going backwards.
And he went to the well one too many times, and Iborgbe was there waiting for him and made that tackle for a loss.
So after the 35-yard pickup, a loss of 3, second down and 13 for the Chippewas, who've held the ball for just about 5 minutes so far in this game, to 14 for Kent State. But that time of possession sure can be misleading. Another nice run through the middle. Romello Ross, the sophomore from Detroit, gets his 45th touch of the year.
Nice little draw play, and the Chippewas love that play in any long yardage type situations, and a 2nd 13 was the perfect time to spring that on them.
Third down, defense presses up and shows just one safety to start.
Trying to disguise that coverage in the back.
All sorts of time on a crossing route, pass complete to Willis. He turns it back at the 35-yard line and then has his legs taken out down at the 30-yard line. Willis, the senior from Holland, Michigan, with the catch for a first down.
Well, despite the moving around by the secondary for Kent State, Shane Morris read and saw that it was man-to-man coverage. He knew he had Corey Willis on a crossing route, which is very hard to cover all the way across the field. He led him perfectly for a nice 3rd down conversion.
Willis coming off a big week, caught 2 touchdown passes last week in that 12-point win over Eastern Michigan. Quick throw. And it's to Willis again, right to the sticks.
Yeah, and that's a sight adjust that they made, a decision that Morris made before the snap. He saw the off coverage at least 12 yards off of his receiver Willis. He's going to dump it out there and let his man run anytime he gets that situation.
Just short of the first down, a gain of 9 on the senior-to-senior connection. And now Tony Poljan, the backup quarterback, is back in. They get him one play at a time.
Taking baby steps with the young quarterback.
Gwilly in the backfield with him. It's a throw right away. He finds Chapman on the edge, who's got space inside the 20 and brought down with a backpack tackle inside the 5-yard line. But there's a flag in the area where he made the catch, and this one may be coming back.
Yeah, a lot of times you get those bubble screens, those quick screens on the edge, and you got receivers trying to block guys, and sometimes they grab hold.
Holding, number 83, offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Replay, 2nd down. Timeout, Kent State. That's their first timeout at half. This will be
penalty on the tight end Conklin, one of the few mistakes you'll see him make.
ESPN, home of the New Year's Six and the college football playoff.
New college football playoff rankings coming out later tonight with the show coming from Chicago. Tyler Conklin, the tight end, a big part of their offense, talking to his head coach after getting called for the penalty there on what would have been a nice 20-yard pickup for Mark Chapman. Morris slinging down the sideline, and that pass falls incomplete.
Trying to find Jonathan,
Ward.
Ward on a wheel route, which guarantees a favorable matchup, but the ball was just thrown a little bit inside. I don't know if Ward even saw it until very late. That'll put the Chippewas behind the chains now. 3rd down and 10 here.
Good long look at the defense for the graduate transfer, Morris. Chapman again. He's got a first down. He's got space toward the end zone, and he's gone. Touchdown, Chapman from Morris.
They were in that radar defense where there were no defensive linemen on the ground, and one of the problems with that thing is it can pick off the defender who's got man-to-man coverage. I don't know if that's what happened with Chapman, but there was nobody near him as he ran against the grain, and nobody from Kent State picked him up. He was off to the races right there.
32-yard connection from Morris to Chapman.
On a 3rd and 10. Those are the things that drive coaches crazy.
Well, Ben Needham, the defensive coordinator, said it's not necessarily been a game-long issue this year, but just a few big plays, 4 or 5 a game, that have been difference makers.
Yeah, he put it down to focus, and that they need more focus. He said the intensity and the effort, those things are fine, but the focus, the details, who you got, those are issues.
CMU just a touchdown shy of its season scoring average here in the second quarter, up 21-3 on the road over Kent State. The Chippewas already bowl eligible at 6-4, going for their 7th win of the year. Head coach John Bonamigo telling us, look, 6 wins, that's great, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're in a bowl. It means we're bowl eligible, right, but not bowl active.
You get to 7 and you're pretty much guaranteed.
Here comes Kerrigan. Stopped at the 20-yard line. That last drive, a nice one for Central quarterback Shane Morris, the graduate transfer from Michigan.
And Morris has been really good down the field so far tonight. You see him dropping that one off. He's getting some run after the catch from some of his guys, but he's thrown a couple of really nice back shoulder balls that have been completions. He's 4 of 5 on passes beyond 20 yards so far, and then he's busted out a couple of runs as well. And Morris has been pretty good so far. Not red hot like I've seen him, but he's been pretty good.
35-yard run on that drive was the longest of the season for him. His previous longest run of the season was 23 yards.
Imagine they'll go back to that at some point.
Got an injured Kent player at the moment, but for Shane Morris, he made his decision to come to Central Michigan. John Bonamigo said, look, you know, I'm a little iffy about the grad transfer rule and the way that it impacts this game. That's Keon Singleton up to his feet now for Kent State, because he wants to create a meritocracy in his program and make it feel like for players who have put in their time and waited as backups to become starters, like they can earn that. But for Morris, a guy who only started a couple games during his time in Ann Arbor, said here's a guy who comes in with a chip on his shoulder. He still feels like he's got something to prove, and most importantly is that you can't replicate the energy that a guy brings to the table who knows this is his final year of football.
Without a doubt. Coach Bonamigo sat him down along with the other transfer, Darwin Kelly, who's had a huge impact on their defense. He came over from Illinois as a 5th-year transfer, and he sat him down and said, hey, it's your job to assimilate into our program, and that's what we need to have out of you. And he said both of them, he couldn't be happier about the way they've done that.
So Morris, his numbers have just jumped up exponentially without having to deal with the same competition that he faced at the University of Michigan, including that redshirt year in 2015, and knowing that Poljan behind him is just a redshirt freshman, so they've got time to groom him as well in Morris's 1 year in Mount Pleasant.
And Morris didn't get a whole lot of opportunity at Michigan, just 2 starts while he was there.
It's Rankin across the formation, and there's a flag down at the end of the play.
Looked to me like they might get the tight end, Brumfield, on a hold.
number 67, offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
Well, they got Stefano Millen instead of Brumfield. I saw Brumfield hold. I didn't see Millen, but obviously the officials did.
Well, Ray, that first drive was so good for Kent State, and they've struggled in subsequent drives. What do you think has been the difference?
I think Central Michigan made an adjustment to stop the quarterback run a little bit, and then they've not done well on the early downs, and then they get into those obvious passing situations. Here's a perfect example of it. 1st and 20, that's hard to catch up.
Bolus fakes the give, takes off himself. He's going to gain a lot of that yardage back.
Got the first down.
Yeah. He's been the most productive offensive threat for the Flashes tonight.
He ran over Amari Coleman on his way. And I guess Central has not entirely stopped this quarterback keep. They had 2 guys on the edge, but neither of them took the quarterback. And it looked to me like it was on number 8, Malik Fountain.
So a run of 21 for Bolus.
When the quarterback's keeping the ball in the zone read option, you have to play disciplined football, trust your eyes, read your keys, and stick to it. You can't be a hero.
Empty backfield and looking for a throw over the top. And it's Brumfield, the tight end, sliding toward midfield with the grab.
That's the old pop pass. That was very popular back when the veer offense was all the rage. And you get everyone sucking in on those run looks, and then you pop it over their heads to the tight end. And they just took that and put it into their offense, and it's worked well for them on 2 occasions so far tonight.
Back-to-back chunk yardage plays, 21 on the run, 16 on the pass. Chips pushing this run to the outside as Rankin, the sophomore from Oberlin, Ohio, about an hour's drive from here in Kent, gets knocked out of bounds just short of the sticks. 9 yards on the run.
And Rankin has a really good stiff arm, and the way he uses it is almost to give himself momentum to push off of you and get away, rather than try to just stop you in your tracks. And that's exactly what he did to Malik Fountain on that play.
Second down and 1, and Rankin carrying defenders with him. Does get a flag on the play. He's got a first down. A run that terminates at the 38-yard line.
It's like Brumfield tackled the linebacker that he was blocking.
Holding, number 88, offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
I knew I'd get him.
Sometimes you get caught, sometimes you don't.
Right?
And this time the tight end's the guilty party.
He came and took Michael Oliver, the inside linebacker, who's playing really well of late for Central, and bear hugged him basically in the hole, and that's pretty easy to spot.
Backs him up to a second down and 11. Bolus wants to throw, and he loads up, going into double coverage, and the ball is caught inside the 20-yard line. Mike Kerrigan comes up with it, a leaping catch.
And this is just misplayed by Amari Coleman, the corner. He was trying to set it up for his 6th interception of the year and mistimed his jump. Watch the outside corner. He's going to jump too soon and not be able to get to the football, and Kerrigan timed it up very nicely.
38 yards to Kerrigan. Rankin 3 yards on the run.
A little counter action where they pulled the backside lineman trying to pop something open, and they'll take 3 yards on a first down.
Well, it would have been back-to-back big weeks for Coleman if he'd come up with that interception. That pick 6 last week helped salt away the victory against Eastern Michigan in what was a game a little bit closer than the Chips wanted it to be.
Yeah, they had a big lead and let it slip away in the 4th quarter.
Back corner of the end zone. Ball is caught, foot down, and that's a touchdown for Kent State.
That is a great throw from George Bolus.
Kerrigan, the big man on this drive for the Flashes.
And it's another deal where I don't know if the Central Michigan defensive backs believed that that pass would get there. And I think Amari Coleman had the same thought in his mind. Oh, it's not going to quite get there. And sure enough, Bolus put enough on it, dropped it in perfectly over top of that coverage to Kerrigan for the 6.
So Kerrigan with a big drive, just his second receiving touchdown of the year. And now with an extra point, Kent State can make it an 11-point game. Exactly what they do. 21-10. Bolus escaped danger with a floated throw earlier in the drive to Kerrigan, and this time finds him in the back of the end zone on a 90-yard drive. The stats only mean so much. Once you get on the field, then things can change a little bit. And Kent State's offense has come to play tonight.
Yeah, and give George Bolus all the credit. He's carrying this offense right now with this running game, and then he threw some really nice passes in that last drive. Central Michigan's going to have to do something to try to negate that quarterback run, because right now it's a thorn in their side.
Gerard Davis, who's already taken one to the house today, has some room here across the 30. Now at midfield, and a touchdown saving tackle. He's angry as he comes up, spiking that football. Hines, the kicker, cuts him down and prevents the score.
This is the same exact return that they ran for the touchdown, and he's going to have another huge alley to run through. And he actually surpasses the blocking back in front of him. He might have wanted to wait a little. He might have got a block down the field. But it puts the offense in really good field position here as Poljan comes back out as the wide receiver at the top.
So it's Morris in the gun with his backup quarterback as a wide receiver option. He throws over the top for Conklin. The tight end takes off, and he goes down, loses the ball inside the 15, but the officials rule him down.
This play was called 999 back in my day. A 9 route's a go route. Everybody's going deep. Conklin fought his way through the traffic, and that ball was just laid in there like it was on a pillow from Morris.
Down prior to the ball coming out. First down, Central Michigan.
Conklin's such a weapon, and then you add Chapman and Willis to that group. They've got some good receivers on this Chippewa football team.
42 yards on the connection.
And Jonathan Ward's another guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield. 39 catches on the year for him.
He's their second leading receiver at running back.
There are plenty of weapons for Shane Morris to hum the ball to.
The previous play is under further review.
They want to see if Conklin was down before that ball came out. We'll take another look at it ourselves. Had control of it until his arm hit the ground, and to me that is not a fumble. The ground cannot force a fumble.
Yeah, the elbow is down, which terminates the play.
Yep. So it should be a pretty quick decision for our replay official, Rick Jackson. Rick and his partner Steve Barnes, the communicator, stopped by the booth to say hello to us before the game. Always like it when the old officials come by.
Conklin has been the recipient of some big catches so far tonight. If this one stands, he'll have catches of 16, 29, and 42 yards just in this first half.
And I can't imagine this thing being overturned.
Part of what he's been able to do has helped out the entire offense. After their first two drives went for a combined total of 21 yards. They followed that up with drives of 80 and 89 yards. Trying to turn this one into 6 as well.
And the one thing that we didn't really talk about was there an immediate recovery after this ball went out? And you're going to see that there indeed was. as Kent State jumped on it
After
immediately.
further review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Central Michigan.
It stands. I thought it would be confirmed.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. But
regardless, they got it right.
To your point, the clear and immediate recovery is part of the rule book to see, had it been a fumble, did anybody pick it up immediately to help determine possession? Ward still standing as he goes closer toward the goal line and inside the 5.
He got caught up in the wash behind his offensive guard that pulled over there. Shakir Carr leading the way, and he logged up the hole for him. And Ward had to kind of tap his feet for a minute until things cleared out.
Now here comes Poljan, the backup quarterback, into the game to take the shotgun snap with Gwilly set back to his left. Poljan at 6'7". How about it? Not too far to stretch for him as he crosses the goal line and has the first rushing touchdown of his Chippewas career.
Looks to me like Coach Bonamigo threw him a bone and let his redshirt freshman get down in there and get in the end zone, and his compatriot Shane Morris is excited for him as well. And they just follow Carr, the guard, pulling around the same play really as last time, only the difference was Poljan kept it and plunged into the end zone.
And now 28-10 in favor of CMU as they're trying to extend a 3-game winning streak tonight here on the road in Kent, Ohio.
And on that winning streak, they've been averaging over 40 points a game. And, you know, their season average is 28. So that tells you that they weren't scoring a ton early on in some of those games. But they're getting it done now with Tyler Conklin leading the way.
Former Division II basketball player turned NFL prospect at tight end, showing his skills.
Yeah, and this is a really great throw. Well, that one he just lobbed, but the most recent one, 42-yarder, that was a really nice throw by Shane Morris. And they'll put Conklin out there, and they don't care if he's matched up against a corner. I mean, they believe his receiving skills are such that he can go up against anybody and make plays like you just saw.
And a very quick scoring drive there for CMU. Still 3:25 left in the first half. A lot of east and west at the end of the return.
Kerrigan's a pretty slippery guy.
Well, big slate of college football coming up this weekend. It's Miami once again in the spotlight as they look to make it 15 straight wins, coming off of back-to-back victories over top 15 opponents. There was a little bit of concern about the Hurricanes. Was the undefeated record as good as it looked? But the last couple weeks, 28-10 victory, 41-8. Malik Rozier and the U looking sharp.
And their confidence, I don't know that it's on an all-time high, but it is very high right now.
Screen pass broken up right from the start, falls incomplete.
Another good play by Michael Oliver, the inside linebacker, who has really come on here during the Central Michigan winning streak. Had 10 tackles against Toledo, 10 against Ball State, and had 7 to lead the way last week. Just a sophomore, he's really making a name for himself. They're quite excited about his future.
Bolus keeps it, and there's a flag at the end of the play after he's tackled with great pursuit by Mike Dana, the defensive end, who's been in the backfield quite a bit tonight.
And it's going to be holding the center, Nathan Putoff. He had a tackle on that one as well. He brought down a Chippewa defender right by
holding
the play.
Number 64, offense. Penalties declined. Result of the play is a 3rd down.
excuse me, that wasn't put off. It was Bryce Gibbs, 64, not 54, who had the holding penalty.
You've used the word tackling for the offense here, probably a few more times than the coaching staff would like so far.
Yeah, they don't want him to get caught, that's for sure.
Bolus stands tall. His throw to the sticks is caught. First down yardage and then some. Off to the races. Inside the 10, a stretch at the goal line, and a touchdown. Bolus gets the opportunity, and Harrell does the rest.
What a great throw from George Bolus. I mean, he slipped that thing in over top of a couple of underneath defenders, and he put it in a spot where Harrell was able to just take off and go. Now, was that knee down before he got in? They'll probably look at that, but it looked to me like it was a touchdown. Very close, hard to say from the angle. And they are going to look at it.
Previous play is under further review.
This look, it's still not definitive because it's not right down the line, which leads me to believe we're going to get the play will stand.
They would need indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field. But let's talk about assuming this will be a touchdown. And if it's not, they'll be at the 1 yard line with great opportunity to score. So there's 2:41 left here in the second quarter, and a touchdown plus the extra point to make it 28-17. These last 2 minutes and change, very crucial for the Kent State defense. If they can come up with a stop here, not necessarily worrying about getting another score in the first half, because they're going to get the ball back in the third.
The field if a touchdown stands.
So exactly as you predicted.
Yeah, there just was no definitive view, but yeah, this is huge. If Kent is, I mean, they're serious about winning this ball game, then they need to stop on this ensuing series. The last thing they can do is have the chips matriculate down the field like they did in that previous drive.
Have to find a way to wrangle in Conklin.
And Willis and Ward.
A lot of weapons for the Chips. But a big scoring night so far. The Golden Flashes are far from done. Looking to repeat what they did last year against Central Michigan, getting a win.
And the Chippewas had a 14-point lead going in the second half of that ball game. And their offense, they turned it over 4 times. And the quarterback, Nick Holly for Kent State, did pretty much what George Bolus is doing tonight. A one-man show and made it work. He had 144 yards rushing, threw for 102, and on the last drive, it was all Holly getting them into field goal position for Shane Hines, the kicker, who was knocked out of that game, actually, and was able to come back. But Paul Haynes told us he was worried he didn't have anyone to kick at the end of that game. And he said Hines came up to him in the third quarter and says, "I'm okay, coach, and I'm going to kick the game winner." Get some kind of profit, because that's exactly what he did.
A very bold premonition.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot to play for here for Central Michigan as far as division standings go. If they win out and get some luck with losses ahead of them in the West Division, they could find themselves playing in the MAC championship game.
The other part of that, we got another big return coming.
Yeah, Davis has been explosive on these returns, getting himself out past the 40 once again.
And that puts the Central offense in great position. But I was going to say the other part of that is these games, these matching games, are so important to the recruiting of these teams. This is where the whole nation gets a chance to see just them. And people tend to remember what they saw most recently. And if you play well in November in the MAC, you've got a heck of a chance to get a nice recruiting class. And that's what they're kind of bent on as well.
Well, they've seen a lot of scoring. For anybody checking out these teams for the first time, 5 touchdowns scored in the second quarter alone. 3 for the Chips and 2 for the Golden Flashes. Morris stands tall. Single coverage down the middle of the field. And Chapman inside the 20-yard line. So Kent State, knowing that they've got to get a stop here, takes a serious blow on the first play of the drive.
And Chapman just outran Jarrell Foster. beat him to the inside, and that was another perfect throw from Shane Morris, who he's edging into that red hot zone right now.
33-yard gain.
Especially on the deep balls, he's just dropping dimes.
One senior to another. Chapman and Willis, along with Conklin, all three seniors have been his top targets today. Ward looked like he had some space and room to run and got tripped up as he crossed through the line of scrimmage.
He tripped over his own guard, Steve Eiper. We have another offensive lineman making a tackle. You got Conklin at the bottom of the screen all by himself.
It's dead back to Ward, and that's part of the dual difficulty of having Conklin out there against the defense, because you got to defend him, decide whether you're going to make it double coverage, and then if you do, it opens up the space for Ward to run.
Right.
Out of the half, this will be a 30-second timeout.
To run or be a receiver, which, you know, you already established the fact he's their second leading receiver. And then Corey Willis is out there too. And Mark Chapman's not no slouch either. Who are you going to double? You know, I mean, at some point, with the weapons this Chippewa offense has, the defense has to choose their poison.
And as you mentioned, going back to that homecoming loss against Toledo for CMU, with the way Coach Bonamigo was disappointed in how little they ran, getting fewer than 70 yards on the ground in that game. Getting Conklin back healthy, getting an entire healthy receiving core. Now over their last 3 games, they're averaging just under 200 a game on the ground.
John Bonamigo was a freshman walk-on my senior year at Central Michigan. I remember pounding on him on scout team, and we laughed about it last night when we talked a little bit, but he's a Chippewa through and through.
54 years old, graduate of Paw Paw High School in Michigan. That's a dart delivered to Willis. He dances his way to the 12-yard line.
Looks like he's going to be shy of that first down. Chippewas need to make a decision, and talking with Coach Bonamigo about those decisions, he says, yeah, they've got the metrics and the research and all those things, but he goes with his gut. And his gut's going to tell him to run this clock down as far as he can, and I think kick a field goal.
Well, this might give Michael Armstrong, the kicker, some work for the first time in a few weeks.
Although knowing Bonamigo, he may just go for this. If he's going by his gut, then who knows what can happen. Now they're moving the ball good. What do you want? You want to take a shot?
Central Michigan, second timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
They're trying to figure this thing out.
Bonamigo, graduate of Central Michigan, the first alum that they've had as head coach, now in his 3rd year, but the first alum there since 1966.
Bill Kelly, back in the day.
One of a few around the league as a head coach at their alma mater.
You would think it would be any guy who's in the coaching profession dream job to come back to a school, and there's no question John Bonamigo's dream job is right there at Central Michigan. I mean, he's stated that. In fact, we spoke with he and his wife Paulette last night, and she brought it out that that's always been since she met him back when he was a special teams assistant down in Jacksonville in 2001. That's what he told her. That's what his dream job was, and that's where they are now.
It's Michael Armstrong, the graduate transfer from SMU, to try this from 30. Hasn't had a field goal attempt in the last 3 weeks. So fresh leg, and Armstrong, the native of North Carolina, no good on the try.
They saw that inactivity affected him, pulled it just to the left.
And that is a bullet dodged for Kent State. Now 22 seconds left here in the half. They're getting the ball back to start the 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Paul Haynes, this couldn't have turned out any better. It's a game of inches, as they say.
Just wide. Coach Bonamigo said they haven't had to use Armstrong for any field goal attempts the last 3 weeks not because they've been really risky and rolling the dice. The offense has just been proficient enough in finding the end zone. They haven't had to call out a field goal kicker.
Kent's happy to just run out the clock and head into the locker room. Down 11, but getting the ball, as you said, Mike, and they're moving the football tonight. And if they can play a little more defense, they got a chance.
So very much a ball game here at Dick Stadium in Kent, Ohio. 28-17 our score at the half. After the break, we'll send it back to Molly McGrath and Trevor Maddich in the studio for the College Football Halftime Report. Just moments away from the start of the third quarter here in Kent, Ohio, and our score, Central Michigan 28 and Kent State 17. Glad to have you back here with us. Mike Cousins, along with former Central Michigan and NFL linebacker Ray Bentley. A very interesting first half. Both teams with their leading rushers coming at quarterback.
Yeah, and they're both grinding up a lot of yards on offense, making some big plays. Both quarterbacks playing extremely well. It's been a fun half.
Shorter time of possession for Central Michigan. They got help on special teams, which is where their scoring started. Huge kick returns. This one for 98 for Gerard Davis.
Yeah, and that wasn't the only one he had, and he set him up in great field position. And they punched in a touchdown with Ward on the ground. And then I've been real impressed with Morris tonight. He's been on the money. In fact, he got into that red hot zone in the second quarter as he was throwing some nice balls down the field. Now, George Bolus has been equally dynamic for Kent State. You look at his numbers, 260 total yards for Bolus in that first half. He is, I'm not going to say single-handedly, but he's been a huge part of keeping the Golden Flashes in this ballgame. And a lot of that's come on the ground. He's done a really good job, and this is something Central Michigan, I guarantee you at halftime, drew up several ways to try and stop the quarterback run, whether it be a scramble or the zone reads, which is what has really hurt them, is the zone read. Someone is assigned to the quarterback on that deal. Well, that guy missed his assignment quite often in the first half, and Bolus took full advantage of it.
A redshirt junior quarterback using his runs to set up passing opportunities as well. He came into this game with just 2 passing touchdowns this year, threw for 2 scores in the first half. So John Bonamigo trying to keep his team's winning streak alive ever since a homecoming loss against Toledo. They've won 3 straight and looking for some revenge against the Golden Flashes, who topped them last year. So 30 minutes down, 30 to go. Kent State winners of the opening toss. They deferred, and they get the ball here to start the third quarter. Looking for good field position. There's a flag from the back side of the play, thrown by the referee, Ron Hudson. Third return tonight by the wide receiver, Mike Kerrigan.
During the return, legal block in the back, number 18 of the return team. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Call that on fifth-year senior Dan Hillenbrand, and another special teams penalty for Kent State. And they've been solid on offense, solid on defense. Their special teams have not fit the bill yet tonight. The penalties and then giving up those long kicks. Kick returns, I should say.
So that'll set them back here on their opening drive in the third quarter.
Correction, the block occurred at the 21-yard line, so it'll be a full 10 yards. First down, Kent State.
This hasn't been bad field position for Kent. I mean, they've got some pretty long drives so far tonight, including a 90-yarder. So they'll have to go 89 on this one.
Starting here, 1st and 10, back at their own 11-yard line. Rankin, the running back, went for 25 yards on the ground in the first half, getting 10 carries. Joe Osman coming up to make the stop back in after having not played the last 2 games, battling concussion symptoms and then a stinger. They're very happy to have him back on the field for a defense that ranks first in the nation in takeaways with 27.
You know, Osman only had one other Division I offer, and that's something Coach Bonamigo talked to us about, it getting guys that everyone else misses on and then developing them, and they've done that with many guys, and that's kind of what the MAC has to do to be competitive.
Throw across the middle. They find Rankin, who's got a first down and carries the pile toward the 31-yard line. Gain of 17.
And Central Michigan's adjustment at halftime is to blitz. In the first 2 plays, they've brought blitzes. The first one it worked, that one not so much, as Darwin Kelly didn't have his coverage. They are trying to bring some heat now. Briones leading the team in tackles with 6 in the first half. Alex Briones playing really good at outside linebacker.
So against a 4-man front, they go to the air, and Cavius Price, the sophomore from Bradenton, Florida, records his 5th catch of the year. That one a pickup of 9. More heavy blitz. You think we might see Bolus on the move a little bit more?
Yeah, the thing about it, I think they're trying to plug every gap in the middle to try and keep him from running. If I'm going to respond if I'm Kent, I'm going to run the quarterback to the edge a little bit and see what happens over there.
Second and 1. Butler, the tight end, motions across the formation. Trying to run right through the middle, and that space is immediately taken up by several members of the front 7 for CMU. Great push. Starts with Malik Fountain, the linebacker.
Yeah, Fountain just threw him back out of the saloon. That was one of those shots.
Right through the double doors.
You're coming in, and next thing you know, you're going back out.
So with forward progress, still just 1 yard to pick up here to try and convert the 3rd down.
Quarterback run, empty formation.
Rankin sweeps across. He's got the first down and more. Out toward midfield to the 48-yard line. So they needed 1, and Rankin got them 8.
And he's been really effective on that jet sweep. They run empty on you, and so that spreads the defense out entirely. And then they motion him back in there, and they feel like they have an advantage in the box, and it's worked well.
And that sweep play, whether it's a handoff or not, does just enough to get the defense thinking, right?
It does. It spreads you thin.
That time, no handoff for Rankin, and the throw up top, and the ball comes loose. The Chippewas pick it up.
Briones fell on it right away, and it looked like a good catch. They ran that pop pass again to Broomfield. And the question is, did he have the football, or is that a completion and then a fumble, or are they going to call it incomplete?
The ruling on the field is a complete pass, followed by a fumble that was recovered by the defense. When the defender recovered it, he had a knee on the ground. First down, Central Michigan.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that that's a fumble. I doubt it'll be looked at.
So
nice.
Butler, the tight end, comes up with it, turns his way upfield.
Yeah, and Darwin Kelly's the one who knocked that thing out. And that's one of those classic deals where this is how they used to teach tackling. You put your face right on the football. That's what he did, and that's what happens. I don't know how they teach it anymore, to be honest with you.
A lot of theories. None of them decided as the
get the man down. That's what I used to say.
As exactly the right one. A lot happening on this play, and trying to turn things backwards. Willis was looking to cut across the field to see if he could find an opening. Instead, all he got was negative yardage by trying to make a play. So the takeaway there for Central Michigan. The advantage of playing on a Tuesday night, you're a little bit ahead of the Saturday crew.
They lead the nation. Number 28 on the year, 12 fumble recoveries, 16 interceptions. That's tops in all of FBS.
Vaulting themselves out in front of Washington and Wyoming. Morris throws off his back foot. And his intended receiver, Willis, was bracketed top and bottom on the pass.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious that Shane Morris had pressure on him, and he just threw that thing away. So the Chippewas need a play here to capitalize on the takeaway. Because their first two plays, they got it in reverse. You got Poljan out there in that trip set in the bunch.
Split to the top of your screen, number 1, the 6'7" quarterback out at receiver. Here on 3rd down and 13.
You got that, what do they call it, radar defense, where those defensive linemen, they're just moving around, nobody in a stance, and they're going to pick a spot and rush.
Turns into a 3-man rush, and it pays off. Great tackle from the backside of the play as Theo Majet, the defensive tackle, grabbed a shoelace of Morris to bring him down.
Nice recovery by Majet. He was running up the field, put it in reverse when he saw Morris take off, and ended up flipping that foot, forcing the punt. Nice series by the Kent defense. Kind of saving the bacon of the offense after the turnover.
Cavius Price back waiting for the low punt. Takes a Central Michigan bounce. He jukes his way from the 10, cuts back and out toward the 20-yard line. Now he turns on the burners across the 35. And how about that? He started at the 10, and it looked like he had nowhere to go. An oasis of an opening appeared. It'll be great starting field position at their own 39 for Kent State. They wipe away the turnover, and will try and make it a one-score game when we come back. Win tonight could be big for Kent State, trying to equal their win total of last year. They went 3-9, taking down Monmouth, Buffalo, and Central Michigan, trying to do it for a second straight season. After a turnover, forcing a 3-and-out by the Chips, and now back to work, down 28-17. Justin Rankin, the running back, also the team's leading receiver, makes the catch.
They call that play a little submarine boot, where he's going to run behind the line of scrimmage to the far edge, and Central Michigan got outflanked. There was nobody there to pick up the coverage. Josh Cox pursued it, but nobody there to make a play.
So 15 yards on the pass play puts them into Chippewa's territory. Heavy workload for Rankin continues, and he picks up about 4.
Rankin is so quick laterally. I mean, and he's got great vision. He'll see a guy coming, and that guy won't see him coming. And next thing you know, he's gone.
Well, a very positive series of events to get the ball back here, because Paul Haynes said it. We're not a come-from-behind team. We cannot afford to have a negative turnover ratio. It's Gamble, the freshman.
You don't want to go down.
Still chugging through, just muscling his way toward the first down marker, and he does move the chains. All 249 pounds of him on that run.
A lot of reaching and grabbing by Central Michigan defenders. No one really anxious to put a shoulder or some pads into Keyshawn Gamble.
Would you with a guy that big?
Absolutely. I'd pay for it, but I would definitely do it. I'd bring the trebuchet out on him.
Going medieval for the tackle. Followed by a guillotine. Brumfield, the tight end, in motion. And he goes out of the backfield to make the catch toward the sticks. It'll either be a catch at 9 or a first down for the sophomore from Georgia.
Nice use here. A good call by Don Treadwell, the offensive coordinator for the Golden Flashes. They've used the tight end a lot tonight, much more so than they have prior all season long, and it's been a boon for them.
Yeah, coming into this game combined, Brumfield and Butler, the two tight ends we've seen tonight, had a total of 7 catches on the year. No tight end or no touchdowns between them for those two tight ends. Rankin gets the first down as he bounds off to the right side.
It's a nice little drive Kent's putting together here.
And the difference from what we've seen on previous drives in the first half, Ray, is that it has not involved a lot of running from Bolus.
No, he's spread out. They're using all the pieces. They've got receivers involved. Rankin is making his plays, and they're getting the tight end involved. good stuff.
Rankin, the running back in the slot to the top of your screen. Now Bolus rolling out, thinking about a throw, and he does heave it toward the end zone and a little bit too long as it falls incomplete, waiting to the last minute to let go of the football.
Yeah, and he kind of made a little adjustment, a little nod to Rankin, because Rankin was running into coverage across the field. That nod sent him deep behind that coverage, and I tell you, Bolus threw it up there and he almost dropped it right in. Pretty good throw on the run, anticipating Rankin going deep, just a little too long.
Beating the coverage right over the top. So Bolus, whose dad and grandfather were wrestlers at Ohio State, which right now is one of the best programs in the country under Tom Ryan. Gamble, the big guy in at running back. Bolus tries to spin, and he does right into the tackle of Osman.
Yeah, you're not going to get away from Joe Osman very often out in open field like that. He showed you the lateral quickness, wrapping up Bolus and making a tackle for loss. That's 14.5 tackles for loss on the year now for Joe Osman.
Inside 7 minutes left here, third quarter. Kent State trying to cut it to a one-score game, and a big third down and 11.
That empty package, they like quarterback run out of it.
And it's a design run for Bolus. Bowls his way to the 15, and he's short of the first down by about a yard.
Boy, and I say you go for it here. I mean, what do you have to lose, basically? And again, another quarterback run against with the empty formation, and they did a nice job of blocking. And they are going to kick a field goal. Try to get it to a one-score game, make it 8 points if they convert this.
Hines for the try from 32. Hold was good, and Hines with the kick is no good. Second missed field goal of the night we've seen at that end, and a big opportunity for Kent State goes by the wayside. The Chippewas hold on to their 11-point advantage.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports. And Sam Adams, fill your glass.
Winter weather has arrived here in Northeast Ohio. Glad to have you with us here tonight, where you can see your breath.
Yeah,
Ray Bentley doing exactly that. Mike Cousins, as Central Michigan takes over after a missed field goal by Shane Hines for Kent State. So it stays 28-17, advantage Chippewas at 6-4, riding a 3-game winning streak into action tonight. To the air for a short pickup on first down, Jonathan Ward. Over 40 catches for the running back, the team's second leading receiver this year.
They haven't put him out in the slot and worked him very much yet tonight, but they did work him towards Conklin's side on that last play, and that's a tough deal.
Conklin, the tight end, and according to this coaching staff, a guy who's got a chance to play at the next level. Design run here for Morris. Big guy, 6'3", 210. Makes third down very manageable, going for 4 yards there.
Chippewas in their only other drive here in the second half went 3 and out. See if they can move them chains one time. Looks like a blitz coming from the Golden State or Golden Flashes.
If it was Golden State, they'd have more than 17 points.
And that would be a story.
They go right through the middle, and Ward explosively charges through the offensive line right toward midfield. How about that, just breaking away?
Yeah, he would have been gone had Alex Hogue not grabbed him by the shirt tail, because he's busting out. He got through and broke the first tackle and then just got dragged down.
And Hogue, the Leo defensive end position for Kent State, is the injured player at the end of the run.
He got his legs landed on at the end of that deal. Checking out his right knee right now as we speak. I haven't seen the big explosive play from Ward other than his touchdown run where he put it on Cruz. 7 carries, 32 yards on the night. But he will bust a big one. Almost busted that one.
If just not for the grab of the jersey there. Chippewas this year, 6 wins, are bowl eligible for the 6th straight season and the 10th time in the last 12 years. Think about this. They hold on to win here tonight and then take down NIU. 8 wins would be their most since 2009. But that's a very difficult finish to the season to go up against Rod Carey's squad.
No doubt. They were able to get them last year in overtime up in DeKalb. So you never know. That's why we play these games.
Morris on play action. Down the sideline, the ball tipped. And incomplete is the call on the field. Looked like potentially an interception for Wantez McCray, but he was out of bounds.
Yeah, his right foot was on the sideline. His left foot was fine. Good coverage by Jarrell Foster breaking that up. And Morris underthrew that one because Willis had a couple of steps on the corner over there on Foster. And had he thrown it out far enough, might have had something. And they want to look at it again, but I saw it fairly clearly. There was no question in my mind. McCray's foot was on the line.
I don't know. Look at his left foot here. When we see this play, does the left foot give him inbound status?
But the right foot's out of bounds, and so that's what takes away that status. Status removed.
So the question's going to be is, when does he have possession of the ball? And then where is his right foot at the time that he gains firm possession of the football?
Yeah, there's no doubt the left foot's in. But to me, that right foot came down simultaneously with the catch. And that's why they called it out of bounds. Now, maybe Mr. Rick Jackson upstairs in the replay booth has a different opinion. It's really, you're right. It's about the timing of when would you call that possession. We'll find out.
After review, the defender's right foot was out of bounds when he controlled the ball. Therefore, it's an incomplete pass. The play is confirmed. 2nd down.
Confirmed it. And one I thought might be a standard. It's a confirmer.
The replay crew has been on top of things tonight. Second quarter was explosive in this game. 5 touchdowns between these two teams in that 15-minute stretch. And in the first and then here in the third, the offense has just not kept up the pace that it did in that second. Ward lowers the shoulder. Nice way to finish the run.
And it shows you the speed that he has. I mean, he busted that one outside. Now, Central does a nice job. Their receivers were really wide. So you got 4 guys really wide. That means you're going 7-on-7 on the inside. And with an explosive guy like Ward, run the football. See what he can do.
4 minutes left here in the third quarter with Central trying to add to its 11-point lead. And the Kent defenders point to motion along the line. Looks like the left tackle.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
It is the left tackle. Clayton Walderzak called for the penalty.
Couldn't hold his water there. Central was trying to change the play because Kent had every defender within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. They were cooking up some kind of blitz, and it was man-to-man coverage. And Morris was licking his chops, thinking he can get one down the field. And his big guy got a little hiccup.
And he's been sharp on the deep ball tonight. He's got 3 receivers here on 1st and 15. The blocker in front. Ward pirouettes his way back to near the original line of scrimmage. A 4-yard gain for the sophomore out of Illinois.
Yeah, Marcus Moore did a great job turning that inside to where he had some help. He kept it contained on the edge.
2nd down and 11.
See Ward trying to pick things up here in the second half.
The southpaw with a dart across the middle, and it's tipped and caught. Conklin, what a grab. For the second time tonight, he shows off great hands, keeping his eyes on the ball and making the catch.
And incredible agility. And this ball is thrown a little bit behind him, and because of the big body that Conklin possesses, he's able to wedge himself in between that and the defender and get the football on the bobble.
First and 10 on the doorstep of the red zone. Ball comes loose at the end of the run by Ward. Was he down?
Pretty sure it was one of those deals where the ground caused the fumble, but Daryl Marshall came up and gave him a flip shot.
Down prior to the ball coming out, second down.
Watch number 30, Marshall, come up here and go right under the knees and pop him up in the air.
Certainly looked like the elbow was down there when the ball came loose.
Yeah, I think that's what popped it out, that elbow hitting the ground.
Morris off the back foot to the end zone on second down, incomplete.
We almost had Conklin for another great play. KJ Sherrill with the coverage. Conklin's upset with himself because he thought he should have had that one. Just a little overthrown with the pressure on Morris. Morris got whacked a little bit. Hasn't been hit a whole lot today, but there's a decent shot on him right there from Cunningham.
Well, Morris originally committed to Michigan under Brady Hoke, and on that depth chart eventually fell behind Wilton Spate. John O'Corn searched around his former high school coach on staff here at Central Michigan, and a perfect fit for him this year. Already bowl eligible. He throws to the end zone. That's going to be pass interference there.
Yeah,
against Kent State. Daryl Marshall in coverage.
Paul Verska is the coach you're talking about. He had a hand in bringing Shane Morris to Central Michigan, and Coach Bonamigo and his staff, they did their due diligence. I mean, they checked into it. They sat down and talked with him and made sure that they were getting the kind of guy they wanted to bring in, and it's turned out really well for everybody.
Let's check the penalty flag.
Pass interference, number 30, defense. Ball will be placed on the spot of the foul, automatic first down.
It's on Daryl Marshall, who just had that big hit on Ward, and he was covering Conklin, and he had to grab a hold because it was a little bit of a mismatch. Conklin just trying to get away, not able to. Actually, excuse me, that's not Conklin, that's Chapman.
First and goal, 4-yard line. Ball comes loose, and Kent State picks up the fumble. The Golden Flashes get possession inside the 5-yard line on a loose ball. A drive that was turning up everything that Central Michigan's way, and they give it up.
Lawrence Berg, he could have been a good shortstop in his day because he got the knees bent, went right down there, got his hands on the ground, and scooped that thing up and took off.
Well, for a Central Michigan defense that has prided itself on getting turnovers, their offense falters here on the doorstep of the end zone. Still life here for the Flashes in the third. Ray, are you in? Are you in on the Miami Hurricanes?
I don't know about that.
Well, they've rolled to a couple big wins.
They have.
The last
I'm in.
They've got Virginia this Saturday, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific on ABC or on the ESPN app. And we are just about that time of day where we're going to be getting some new college football playoff rankings tonight.
I just don't know how Miami's going to beat Clemson in the ACC title game. That's my only thing on them.
So we'll see where they fall in the newest rankings coming out here with the Champions Classic between games 1 and 2 in Chicago. So a fumble picked up by Kent State, so they get possession here, but deep in their own territory. It'll be a long way to go to put some points on the board in what has been a back and forth field position battle in the third quarter.
Joe Ostman just notched another tackle for loss now, 15.5 on the year.
It's going to be heels on the goal line here for Bolas, the redshirt junior. from Aurora, Ohio, a short trip away here from campus. He stands tall to throw, connects with Rankin, who slips away from a couple tacklers, tiptoes his way up the sideline, and he's got a first down all the way out to the 27-yard line. 22 yards on the catch.
Rankin is one slippery cat. I mean, I don't know how he does it, but he consistently makes people miss. I mean, he was dead to rights there. Kelly had him straight lined up, and next thing you know, he's gone. Osman had to run all the way down the field to make the tackle.
Lined up run formation, and Central Michigan was ready for it. Gain of maybe 1 on the handoff. Got to give credit to Kent State for what they've done offensively here in this game, for not having a lot of weapons as far as receivers go. Again, we mentioned their leading receiver coming into this game, just 15 catches, and yet here they are as a team that's looking for just its 3rd win of the season, and they find themselves down 11 on senior day on their home field. 4th quarter coming up, and the Flashes driving, keeping it close with CMU. Well, did you like defense? Then the 3rd quarter was for you. No points on the board in the 3rd, 28-17. Central Michigan still leading Kent State as we go to the 4th here at Dick Stadium. Along with Ray Bentley, I'm Mike Cousins. So glad you're with us. 3rd quarter had only 4 possessions, plus this one in progress right now. For comparison, the 2nd quarter, 5 touchdowns.
I like defense, but I'd rather see a 2nd quarter that we saw than that 3rd.
And they give it to Rankin. It makes it about a 3rd down and 5 to get here to move the chains for Kent State.
And Alex Briones is closing in on double-digit tackles for the night, the leader for Central Michigan. He's been all over the field.
Junior, native of Michigan, on a roster more than 70 players.
71 to be exact.
From Michigan. I knew I could count on you for the right number.
Yeah.
On the slant, put right on target, and Chris White makes the catch for Kent State. 1st down, Golden Flashes.
Really nice throw there. You know, back when I played in the day, it was out of 100 guys, we had 98 from the state of Michigan. That was kind of a pride thing that Herb Duromedy, our coach, that's where he recruited. And they've since opened it up, but it's still a huge thing. And Coach Bonamigo says, yeah, we want to keep those Michigan boys in state and bring them up to Central.
For a guy who's a native of Michigan, and admittedly so, coaching at his dream job at his alma mater.
Another reverse.
Now, 2nd time they've run that today. Last time they ran it was on a 3rd and 1. This time on a 1st down, and it yields much better results. Going down the sideline toward the end zone. And it's a touchdown, Kent State. 2nd time's the charm on the reverse. That goes for 57 and yields 6 points for Mike Kerrigan.
Well, we were a little skeptical and dubious when they called that reverse on a 3rd and 1. On a 1st and 10 in plus territory, that's a great call, and it's made greater by this run from Kerrigan. He just outraced everybody, put a move and froze Josh Cox, and then just burst by him. Amari Coleman tried to make a saving tackle at the end, but it was too late. Kerrigan was off to the races.
So it's 28-23. And a 2-point conversion here would make it just a field goal difference.
Yeah, and I think this is a good decision. I mean, once you get in the 4th quarter.
Timeout, Kent State. 1st timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
They were down to just 5 seconds on the play clock there, and had just barely broken the huddle.
Yeah, and they I don't know, probably a late decision to go for the 2-point conversion. As I was saying, once you get in the 4th quarter, then I don't have a problem with going for 2. I hate it before that, and honestly, my personal opinion, I get my points when I can get my points, and then if I have to go for 2 at the end, that's what I'll do. I've seen too many games get frittered away where you miss these attempts to tie it up for what reason, I have no idea, or to get to within a certain number. It's too early for that. So if I'm coaching, I would not go for 2 here, but Paul Haynes, I understand it. Fourth quarter, time to make something happen.
We live in the era of win probability where you can track the team's percent chance to win as the game goes on. And so I agree with you. You keep that percent chance as high as possible by just taking the points that are easier to get in this spot.
Get those points, man. Why take a chance?
First timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
This is like a basketball game where, the one team, Kent, they saw the alignment for Central. They were running out of time, too, but don't let that get in the way of my story. And so they're like, okay, timeout. We saw them. And then Central wants to take a look at the other one.
So as we mentioned earlier, they ran this reverse earlier in the game on a 3rd and 1. It got blown up in the backfield, and much more successful this time for Kerrigan, who turns on the Jets.
Yeah, they had some really good blocking. And then the Jets are what really did it. And the fact that he powered through the tackle attempt from Josh Cox. And that's what got him into this 2-point conversion attempt.
Plenty of options here with Rankin in the gun with Bolus, the quarterback, a big running threat himself. Bolus back and looking to throw. Now he's flushed out and brought down by Osman in the backfield again. Returns from a 2-game sabbatical and a big impact player off the edge.
His 11th sack and his 3rd tackle for a loss tonight. Joe Osman says, no, you don't. Keeps it a 5-point game. Central up 28-23 with 13:42 to go.
New Year's 6 and the college football playoff.
New top 6 is out for the college football playoff. Alabama at number 1 after they hung on to defeat Mississippi State. Clemson is your number 2, followed by Miami and Oklahoma, with undefeated Wisconsin and Auburn looking in from the outside at number 6.
Yeah, I don't have much of a problem with that. In fact, those are the 6 teams that are on my list, but not necessarily in that order.
I think if there's any point of contention, perhaps, with these new rankings, it'll be at spots 2 and 3, given that Clemson is ahead of an undefeated Miami team. So after the touchdown, failed 2-point conversion, Kent State kicks it away, and Gerard Davis, who's had himself a pretty big day in the return game, gets a flag here on his shortest return of the night. Davis in the first half, 3 returns for 191 yards. You're looking at 63 yards a touch, which includes in that number the 98-yard return for a touchdown.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. But Central's going to be backed up with a holding call.
During the return,
here.
Holding. Number 2 of the return team. 10 yards, first down, Central Michigan.
Jakar Jackson on that infraction.
It's a long field here as they get backed up with a 5-point lead, 13:35 in the 4th. And Ray, coming into the night, let's take a look at who you had lined up for your top 6.
Yeah, I had Alabama, and I think just about everybody does because they're so dominant. But the turnover chain gang moves up to number 2 for me. Clemson, they're at 3 because they know how to win. And then you got Oklahoma over there baking up a lot of offense. So it's going to be an interesting run. The 2 and 3 are probably going to play each other, and so you have the playoffs start a week early.
Morris way too tall for Conklin.
They hit him late, and he's slow getting up. It's definitely going to be a roughing the quarterback. Let's see if they add anything else to that.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer with targeting. Number 1 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. The play is under further review.
Uh-oh, that's a potential ejection here for Wantez McRae, the safety. And if he gets ejected here, he'd be out for the first 2 quarters in the season finale next week.
Yeah, and those flags came out in a hurry, and you can see that's targeting if I've ever seen it. There was a launch, there was the crown of the helmet, there was a hit above the shoulders, a forcible blow. I think McRae is done for the night. And that's the exact kind of infraction or kind of play, kind of hit that they're trying to get out of the game.
And when it comes to player safety, it's the type of hit as well that is preventable.
Morris is checking his teeth to make sure he's got them all. Might be missing a chiclet here or there.
That ever happened to you?
No. Never got a tooth knocked out.
You hit a lot of people pretty hard back in your day.
And I never wore a mouth guard either. I felt like I was gagging and I couldn't talk good, so I never wore a mouth guard 10 years in pro football. So
was that rare?
Yeah, it was more acceptable back in that day.
Yeah,
but there was a rule you had to have one. I think my last year, and I got away with it.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. Number 1 is disqualified.
Not a surprise.
That was a very quick confirmation.
Yeah, it had all the elements. I mean, if you want to learn how to target somebody, there's your training tape, because that was it.
So it's an ejection for the rest of the game for McCray, and then going forward a week from tonight at Akron, it'll be a suspension for the first half of that game for the junior from Maryland.
And it gets Central out of a bit of a bind. They were backed up inside their own 10. Now they got a chance.
Bit of a sneaky finish to that run by Ward after he got hit by Manny Lawrence Burke, who recovered the fumble earlier in the game and couldn't wrap him up.
They had Gwilly in the backfield as well, and he kind of blocked up the hole, and there was really nowhere for Ward to go.
Three-receiver look for Morris on second down. He lets it fly in a crossing route. Chapman has it, extends his strides toward midfield. And he really accelerated once he caught that ball.
And this has been a big play in the offense all night long, including on the touchdown pass that Morris threw to Chapman. This time it's against zone defense, but Chapman's so fast flying across there that it takes too long for people to react, and he ends up getting out the edge.
Chapman, the senior from Port Huron, Michigan, right across the border from Canada over the Blue Water Bridge. Flag from the backside of the play on the run. That's holding against Central Michigan.
Yeah, definitely coming back.
Holding, number 64, offense, 10 yards, replay, first down.
Alex Nearing at right tackle, getting a little playing time as the Chippewas have used several backup linemen tonight. We've seen Walderzak in there, Eiper, Nearing. Guys getting a chance to play here.
Nearing, the junior from Essexville, Michigan. Morris at quarterback, another native of the Mitten. Takes the snap and hands it off, and a burst through the middle for Romello Ross, who gets his second carry of the day, just a yard shy of the original line of scrimmage there.
Ross does a nice job between the tackles. You know, he's built kind of low to the ground, 5'10", 200 pounds, and he keeps his shoulders square and runs with a lot of power.
Second down and 11.
Here comes pressure. Morris read it well, gets the throwaway, still on his feet. Now Willis down the sideline. Is anybody going to get him? And the answer is a definitive no. It's a touchdown for Corey Willis, who slips the tackle. And after a 2-touchdown game last week, he takes this one in from 53.
And it's all about breaking the tackle. He's got one-on-one coverage. Another nice throw by Morris, allowing his receiver to do something after he gets the ball. And this is just, I mean, a great job of reaching back to catch it and then break the tackle and hit the gas. Those are the explosive plays that have really hurt Kent State. And really, it's a missed tackle. I mean, that should have been stopped for a relatively shorter gain.
Especially considering the penalty yardage that had sent them back previously on that drive. But a great stretch of play continues for Willis.
Nice little toss by Morris behind his receiver Willis. Just a notch, but don't worry about that. Willis can make the play, and he does, and the Chippewas go up 35-23.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Sonic's Car Hop Classic. Pair a foot-long coney or a cheeseburger with onion rings for $2.99.
The man bold enough to play with no mouth guard for 10 years. Ray Bentley, if you're not familiar with my partner's work in college football, it's quite a resume you got there.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of sense when I was young, I can tell you that. And I made it work for me, though, which is beautiful.
And now, if you didn't know Ray during his college football career, you can find him as an author. You've got multiple books out and another one on the way.
That I do, actually. Written and published 7 different children's books. I have a novel that's been out for a couple years called Driftwood. And then I kept a journal my entire time with the Bills. I was there for the first 2 Super Bowls of the 4 in a row back in the early 90s, and kept a journal and put together my memoirs, my time with the Bills. But thank you for asking.
Hey, when are we expecting to see that one come out?
Should be out this summer.
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Summer reading. Beach reads.
Oh, yeah.
So Corey Willis, with that catch, ties him with the second most famous Chippewa behind Ray Bentley. That's Antonio Brown.
In my mind, for sure.
Tied for 3rd most touchdown catches in school history with 22.
That's pretty good company, because you can make a case Antonio Brown is the best receiver in the National Football League. Many people think so. And he ain't bad, and neither is that kid, Corey Willis. Got a little love from his coach. And that's the one thing. We spent some time with the Chippewas last night, and it did my heart good, because you can feel the love in that outfit. And I give a lot of credit to Paulette Bonamigo, the coach's wife. She's greatly involved. She told us she has all the kids' numbers. She texts back and forth with them. Says it's always somebody's birthday. She comes down to all the practices to say hello to everybody. She's a huge part. And I think it really helps nurture a family feeling within the football team.
It was incredible to see how passionate she was about the players in this program.
Amazing.
Because, you know, it's the first time that we've ever had a meeting with a head coach for a game that you and I have done, where the coach's wife has also sat in on the meeting. But it felt normal, because it felt like everybody had co-ownership of the program.
No doubt about it.
Bolus throws, and there's a flag as the pass is incomplete.
Holding, number 75 offense, 10 yards, first down.
Adam Gregory gets that flag. Just trying to help his quarterback, who was kind of running for his life there for a minute.
But, you know, being in coaching, it is an all-encompassing lifestyle. It's not a job. It is your lifestyle. It's what you do from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep. And you got to have a great support system around you to make it work.
You do. And I coached in the Arena Football League for 3 years. And I did it later in life, so my kids were old enough to come and be a part of it. And then my wife was down there all the time. And you have to make that part of your family time, because otherwise you're too busy. I mean, if you look at John Bonamigo's Fitbit, you'll see that you don't sleep very much when you're a football coach.
Rankin on the carry there. He showed us his Fitbit stats last night, and I think he averages about 4.5, 5 hours of sleep a night, which is pretty normal.
Yeah, I mean, when you're coaching, that's what you get, and that's why I'm not coaching, by the way. Like, I did for 3 years, and it almost killed me, and I'm not even trying to be funny about it. I developed some serious health issues, didn't get the rest I needed, and thank goodness there's people, they have jobs that you can talk about football and not have to coach it. So I took one of those. Here's Paulette.
Those two met in her hometown of Jacksonville when he was coaching there in 2001. And now she's been with him every stop along the way since. So the Fitbit data, you're going to see exactly how much sleep he gets a night. And while it looks like here he goes to sleep really late, or I guess for some really early, he did mention that they have been practicing at night. So he usually goes to sleep a little bit earlier than a few ticks after midnight.
Right, and usually the night before the game is when he gets his 7-8 hours. That's his big sleep night.
Big pass downfield, caught at the 30-yard line. And it's Kerrigan again, who's been the receiver at the end of every big play. There's a flag as well.
Yeah, Briones grabbed him by the face mask to get him down. A blown coverage in the secondary by the Chippewas. Nobody back home.
Personal foul, face mask, number 17 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
There is absolutely nobody home in that back quadrant of the Central Michigan defense. And they kept the corner, Coleman, down by leaving the receiver there, and Briones had to run and try to save the bacon as the safety was late getting over there.
Tack on the penalty yardage. It ends up being a 40-yard pickup for the Golden Flashes. Pass too long, looking for Kerrigan on the crossing route. Incomplete, and it's second down and 10. Now 9 minutes left, fourth quarter. A 35-23 score in favor of Central Michigan.
And if you just do a little math with me, it's...
No, I can't. I'm going to leave you all on your own for this.
Never mind then.
Are you going back to the two-point conversion?
Well, I was, and then I did the math, and it didn't work out, so never mind. But they can get a field goal and still be within an 11. But reverse again.
Third time we've seen it tonight. The first time it's gone to Cavius Price.
He's going to come back, though.
He got the first down, but there is a flag, and it looks like the early indications are holding.
And I think it was 74, Nate Warnock, who's an interesting story himself.
Holding, number 74, offense. 10 yards, previous spot, second down.
Warnock, the sophomore right guard from LaPorte, Indiana, spent his freshman year at St. Joseph's College in Rensselaer, Indiana. Financial difficulties, the school closed, so he shops his tape around. Eventually, he gets a walk-on offer here first. It turns into a scholarship offer. But, oh, hey, here's the catch. You got to gain 50 pounds to play at this level.
Yeah, he came in at 240, which is, you know, I mean, if you're playing at the lower level where he was, that's a decent-sized lineman, but not in the MAC. He had to put on 50 pounds, and he did so. Good pounds.
Too tall on second down.
Trying to get the tight end again involved, and Chalfonte Butler, but as you said, the pass just a little too tall. And it's hard to throw it too tall for a 6'6" Butler there. He's had a nice night.
Sophomore out of Cincinnati, a couple grabs tonight after coming into this game with just 3 catches for 33 yards. Third down 20, and a swarming maroon and white defense makes Bolus's night more difficult.
And that was Briones who got there first. But this is the first time tonight a zero blitz has come out of the Chippewas. They're going to bring 7 on this. Watch all 3 linebackers. They're just on the roll. They're coming. And there's only 3 men in the route. It didn't matter because it broke down in a hurry.
So they've got to go for it here with just 8 minutes left in the game. After that missed 2-point conversion earlier, means they need 2 touchdowns in this situation versus instead what could have been just a field goal and a touchdown. Fourth down 26 and a desperation heave, and the pass is intercepted at the goal line.
That's Sean Bunting, and that's the 3rd game in a row he's had an interception. Had 1 against Western, 2 last week against Eastern, and brings in another one here tonight.
Chances quickly fading here in the fourth quarter for Kent State on Senior Day. Bolus with a last chance heave to the goal line. It was caught just by the other team. They've been playing this one since 1929. Saturday night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC. It's USC and UCLA. Josh Rosen takes on Sam Darnold. Victory bell is on the line. The Trojans, winners of the last 2, looking to keep their CFP hopes alive. Catch that game, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, also streaming live on the ESPN app. Chippewas pinned back deep after their second takeaway of the evening. So they get the interception, now up to 29 takeaways, leading the country.
Yeah, and 17 interceptions, including, you see this number, that's pretty good. 5% of the attempts, you're taking one the other way. You almost want them to pass at that point.
Just trying to gain some room out of there. They go to Ward, who gets it up to the 5-yard line. Now those numbers, as we mentioned before we went on the air tonight, are a little bit skewed by a couple of games, but it doesn't take away what they did.
Right, 11 of their picks came in 2 games. They had 6 opening week against Rhode Island, and then they had 5 last week against Eastern. So, but while they've been on this winning streak, they have consistently intercepted the ball, and mostly it's been Bunting who had the one tonight. That's his 4th pick in the last 3 games.
Bunting coming up with a home run there to help stop Kent State on 4th and 26. Gonna have to throw it across his body here, and Morris gets picked off. What a strange rollout there for the left-hander to have to go in the end zone across his body and gets intercepted. And now Kent State with a touchdown can make it a 5-point game.
Yeah, Miles Daniel says, look what I found, because he didn't have great coverage. He's right over where he's supposed to be. But all of a sudden, Shane Morris going against the grain with some pressure. And he was actually looking down the field, and then at the last second, heaved it over to the sideline right to the chest of Mr. Miles Daniel.
So on the doorstep here, who's going to get the call, do you think, here for Kent State?
I would go with Rankin. That's the guy who's got you a lot of yards throughout the course of the season. In fact, I think he's in there on a shotgun, or a wildcat, I should say.
Yep, and we've got a flag right as the ball gets snapped.
Penalty flag Carter snap.
Legal substitution on the defense. 12 players in the formation at the snap, half the distance, first down.
That's one way to try and stop him. Load up. But they put Rankin in the shotgun in the wildcat formation, and now they've got him back alongside saddle with the quarterback Bolus. Actually, that's tight end. Never mind. They kept him in that wildcat.
Give him a little bit more blocking there with Brumfield, the tight end. And he gets down inside the 3. Carlos Clark coming up to help make the stop.
This is a wrinkle that they'll use from time to time on the goal line, but I haven't seen anything other than the play we just saw. That power play with Rankin just going left or right.
Time is of the essence here with 6 minutes to play. And this being a 2-score game. So another similar look, and the ball gets loose all the way back to the 20-yard line. He picks it up and runs backward and gets taken down behind the 30, but his forward progress was stopped at the 29. They lost 27 yards.
And welcome to Kent State football. It seems like they can't buy a break. I mean, they're in great position, and all of a sudden the snap goes awry, and they can't pick it up, or they get it, but now all of a sudden instead of on the 2, they're on the 29. And it's been a series of that kind of thing that has bitten this team throughout the year.
It's like they're at the blackjack table. They get 17, and they decided to hit anyway.
Yeah, they're splitting kings or something. I don't know what's going on.
Get the ball handed to you inside the 5-yard line, and now they're back with 3rd and 28. Central Michigan brings the house, and Bolus collapses under the pressure.
Yeah, he really had nowhere to go. I'm not sure if they're going to give that sack to Mike Dana or not, but he was definitely there from the edge. He comes around the edge, and there's just nowhere to go. And Bolus can feel it breaking down because it's that all-out blitz again, where they bring both Clark and Briones.
What a strange series of events as they've got to go for it on another 4th down, and this heave toward the pylon does not get the job done. So they had 4th and 26 on their last series, and this was a 4th and goal from the 34-yard line. A couple of big missed chances for Kent State, and just 4:31 left to play. The game in Central Michigan's hands here, trying to make it win number 4 in a row. And they still have a chance to win the MAC West. They've got to win tonight and next week, but they need help from Western Michigan, Toledo, and Northern Illinois to find themselves playing in Detroit come the first weekend of December. So it's possible.
It is. And, you know, that's what you keep fighting for. Toledo's got a pretty good stranglehold on it. They've already beaten Northern Illinois. Now, they did lose to Ohio last week, so you never know. But they've got their rival Bowling Green, and then they finish with Western Michigan. So now Bowling Green has not been playing particularly well this year, but in a rivalry game, you just never know. So the MAC West is still undecided at this point.
And you know what? Even tonight, if you were to try and predict the score of this game coming in, still with 3:46 to go, another handoff. This goes to Ross. Would you have guessed that Kent State, a team second to last in scoring in the country at 12 points a game, would put 23 on the board?
I might have. You just never know.
And you'd be a very good prognosticator,
yes,
my friend.
That I am.
Out of a timeout, sets up 3rd down, 11 to go here for Central Michigan.
Think they'll throw one up to Poljan at the top of the screen?
Hey, you never know. It would not be unprecedented tonight. At the top of your screen, the 6'7" backup quarterback in the game. He has been several times tonight at receiver. Instead, the defense converges on the grad transfer Morris, and an opportunity for Kent State to take its final timeout.
Iboigbe.
Timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Theo Iboigbe had the sack on Morris. Nowhere to go with the football. Now the Chips will have to punt it away, and Kent State still alive.
It's going to take a lot. They had their chances with the last couple of series coming down to 4th down heaves toward the end zone by Bolus. So a touchdown here, let's say they get it and take the extra point, you're still down 5, so it's a 2-touchdown necessity for Kent State.
Right, and I didn't say it would be easy, but it's still possible. I mean, probably have an onside kick involved and things of that nature.
Price is back for the punt from the Australian Sheldon. Nice kick that sends him backpedaling inside the 20-yard line. And the coverage team is right on top of Price. So while Kent State is still in it, 3:20 to go, they've made a good number of blunders in this one.
Yeah, and that's, you know, when you're on your 3rd quarterback and your offense has changed throughout the course of the year, and you never know with a kicker, obviously, but it's just been one of them snake-bitten type years. And you go back to losing Nick Holly, starting quarterback, and then they had another quarterback, that Malik Mitchell, who was going to be the backup. And now you have to change everything. The whole training camp was really a waste on offense. They changed what they run.
And the defensive line converges as Stanizek and Osman, the defensive ends, make the play on Bolus.
Yeah, that's the old meet at the quarterback defense. Both of them ran the hoop extremely well, got the edge, got her done.
Makes it 2nd down and 17 inside 3 minutes, and Kent State has no timeouts left.
Here they come again.
And 1st down replicated on 2nd down. Stanizek to Bolus.
And Stanizek, he just running the edge here, running the hoop. He gets around the tackle and just uses his hands. I don't know what technique Bryce Gibbs was using. Looked like he was going to try to go cut him late and never quite got to it.
So Bolus has to avoid the pressure. He lofts it up and way too long over Kerrigan's head. So it's 4th and 21. We saw Stanizek coming off the edge there out of the stand-up defensive end position. What difference does it make for a defender rushing, whether he's standing or out of the 3-point stance?
You know, it's kind of a personal preference thing. The one thing you do get when you're up in the air is you can see what's going on a little bit better. Now, out of that stance, you get more explosion coming out. So it's kind of a trade-off. And it comes down to personal preference. But if you're standing up, you can see screen a lot quicker, you can see draw, and you can get another sack.
Well, the third straight series, that was a 4th and more than 20 yards to go for Kent State, and the defensive line just having a party there.
Yeah, Nate Brissenfast got there real fast. It just breaks down again. And there is nowhere to go, and you see Bolus ducking before the hit even came.
Now coming up later tonight, 11:30 Eastern, after the Champions Classic on ESPN, SportsCenter with SVP, a complete breakdown from the biggest night of college hoops thus far, an interview with Sixers rookie Ben Simmons, and the Celtics going for an NBA record 13th straight win. SportsCenter after Kentucky, Kansas, also available live on the ESPN app.
I think the Chippewas could just take a knee here. The question is, will they?
Well, not much ground to cover here for Central Michigan. Just a couple yards shy of the goal line.
A lot of people are interested in this deal, I'm sure.
And it is a touchdown. Romello Ross, the sophomore from Detroit, with his first touchdown of the season, tacks on the most difficult blow of the night for Kent State with 2:04 to go.
Yeah, what's the saying? Put a fork in it? Because this is I think this is just too much to overcome here at this point. And just a power play to the right side. Give Ross a lot of credit for finishing that run, getting it into the end zone. Chips get over 40 again. That's 4th consecutive game.
Ground game has been a big part of it each of the last 3 weeks. On SportsCenter tonight, SVP also with his Bad Beats segment, adding on top of everything else you'll see, wrapping up the Champions Classic on a big night in sports. Well, fresh off their trouncing of Notre Dame, undefeated Miami, home again this weekend at Hard Rock Stadium to take on Virginia. Their last couple wins coming by a total of 51 points. The defense came to play last week. They go up to number 3 in the college football playoff rankings this week. That game Saturday, noon Eastern on ABC, also streaming live on the ESPN app. And so it seems as though they were outside the top 4 last week. They've certainly impressed the nation and, most importantly, the committee this week.
Those are the guys you want to impress. That's for sure. And I'll be honest, I was surprised that they put it to Notre Dame like they did. I did not anticipate that. I thought we'd have a much closer ball game.
Flipped on that game in the second quarter. Turn on, I see another pick six going.
Yeah, the turnover chains all over the place.
Did not expect that game to be as lopsided as it was.
Not at all. That opened a lot of eyes. People around the country, you think, is Miami for real or not?
Well, because the last 4 weeks, they'd had some very close games, just snuck by Syracuse in one of those games. And then the last 2 weeks, putting a beat down on both Virginia Tech and against Notre Dame last week. So they're undefeated. And how much do you, just for your purposes, how much value do you put on being an undefeated team at this point of the year? You've got Miami there at number 3, and then Wisconsin saying, hey, what do we have to do, sitting on the outside looking at number 5?
Yeah, you got to play somebody with a schedule. You need better than the 68th toughest schedule in the country if you're Wisconsin. But they'll get their chance. They get Ohio State coming up in the Big Ten title game, and they got Michigan this week, so we'll see about them.
Dustin Crum is in at quarterback, and the pass he throws is caught, just his 24th pass of the year, by Justin Rankin for a first down with now less than 2 minutes to go before Central Michigan tacks on its 4th straight win and improves to 7-4 on the year.
And Crum is a true freshman who got pushed into duty because of the injuries to the quarterbacks in their offense, and he's shown some flashes. He can run the ball really well, and you saw that was a pretty nice throw right there.
Putting the ball in the area of Chris White, the redshirt senior from the Orlando area. But Crum, the freshman at 6'3", 205, out of Grafton County, Grafton, Ohio. That's from Lorain County to the county west of where Cleveland is. And he credits his relationship with Don Treadwell, a guy who's from Oberlin, same area, for helping him to convince him to pick Kent State.
Yeah, and he's got some potential, but he got thrown into the fire way too early.
He's going up against a vicious and hungry defensive front right now, knowing that they've got victory coming right around the corner.
Cantavelos with a sack to add his name to the parade.
So the yardage total is now dwindling. 7 plays ago, they had 550 yards, and they're under 500 on the night now with all those sack yardage.
Stuck it in reverse here at the end.
On the run and out of bounds for Crum, who did take a handful of snaps in that loss against Western Michigan last week.
Busted a run for 59 yards and a touchdown.
For a score, yeah. So you're getting a little bit of time here in a blowout situation.
He's played, excuse me, Mike, he's played some meaningful downs. He's had 2 starts this year.
And he'll go into next year with the opportunity to fight for the starting job. Pursued from behind and brought down. And then at quarterback as well, next year they still got Nick Holly, who's got the opportunity to apply for a 6th year with the NCAA.
Right, and the question is, will he come back or not? He's already graduated, but if he watches this little highlight reel, he might not want to come back, because this is all the sacks and the pressure that Central has put on once Kent got into that pass mode, and there was no doubt they weren't going to run the football. The Chippewas turned it loose and started getting after it.
It's a really nice night up front with the return of Joe Osman, Mitch Stanizek, and creating havoc all night. But for Kent State, which came into this game scoring just under 12 points a game, only UTEP scores fewer in all of college football at the FBS level. They put 23 on the board. Not enough to stand in front of Central Michigan, a team that came in on a 3-game winning streak. They were angry after that homecoming loss. They've run the ball. Morris looks sharp tonight with the exception of that late interception. And they're going to come out of here with a 5-hour bus ride home, but happy because they've got a 42-23 win in the books.
Yeah, now they're bowl guaranteed with the 7th win. And they're on a nice little run here. And that was in doubt somewhat early on. When they got humbled by Toledo at their homecoming, it was a crossroads for this football team. They turned it around.
42-23 is our final score. So from our partner Ray Bentley and our entire crew, I'm Mike Cousins. Coming up after the break, College Football Playoff Show.